It's GED question of the day time again, and we've got a word problem. Let's go ahead and read it together. A certain carnival ride spins its riders around in a cage attached to a long metal bar. The length of the bar forms the radius of the circular path which the rider travels. If the metal bar is 22 feet long, what will be the distance a rider travels in one full revolution of the pod to the nearest foot? Okay, there's a ton of information going on here, and I think a really good start for us is going to be to try to kind of sketch this out. So first of all, we've got a carnival ride that basically has a pod or a cage attached to a long metal bar. And it says the length of the bar forms the radius of the circular path which the rider travels. So the rider is getting spun around in a circle here. You can see it spinning from this center here out. And so since the rider's sitting here in the pod, he is traveling around in a circle. And notice that it says that this bar forms the radius of a circle, which should make sense to us because the radius of a circle is like an imaginary line or a real line that goes from the center to the outside of a circle here. And they tell me that the metal bar is 22 feet long. Now, what are we looking for? Well, it looks like we're looking for the distance a rider travels in one full revolution of the pod. So the rider's out here on the outside of the circle, spinning around. If they go around once, what have they basically done? Well, they've gone one time around the outside of a circle. Remember that we have a math measurement for the outside of a circle. It's known as the circumference. The circumference is the distance around the outside of a circle. So what I need is to find the circumference of this circle. And I happen to know that the second I need to find circumference, I can hit up the GED formula sheet. So I've got a copy of it right here. Let's see if it'll let me use it. Here it is, the GED formula sheet. Okay, so notice that right here at the top, we see circle appearing a couple of times. Don't be the foolish student. A lot of foolish students just see the word circle and they go automatically to this formula. But notice this is an area formula. Area is not the same as circumference, okay? We need to get down here into the perimeter formulas. Perimeter means distance around the outside of a shape, and circumference is the special word for the perimeter or distance around the outside of a circle. Okay, so we need one of these two formulas here. So take a look. It's very interesting because we see two formulas. The first formula they give us is C equals 2 pi r. That little symbol is called pi. The second formula we see is C equals pi d. Can you guys see that? If I pull it up, can you see it better? Ooh, there we go. Nice and big. And so, yeah, C equals 2 pi r is one formula, or they tell me I can use C equals pi d. And students go, well, which one should I use? Use the one that makes your life easier. R stands for radius. D stands for diameter. Use the formula with an R in it when you know your radius. Use the formula with a D in it when you know your diameter. Well, what do we know? We know our radius. We were told that the bar formed the radius of the circle. So let's use this formula. C equals 2 pi r. And that's the formula we are going to use to solve the sucker. So I'm going to write my formula down. That's my very next step. C equals 2 pi r. And I just want to hit one more thing before I walk away or move away from this formula sheet. I want to hit up what pi is. Notice this here. A lot of you guys are going, what's pi? I never saw pi in my life. What are you talking about? Are we eating in math class? Pi, it's spelled P-I, not like the pie you eat. But this pi here is actually a number. It's not a variable. It's not some letter that we're going to plug into that can change. Pi is a constant number. It's always the same number. But the problem with pi is that it's what we call an irrational number. An irrational number is a number whose decimal form goes on and on forever. If you were really to write out pi, ooh, I just jumped. How'd I jump? I have no idea. I'm screwing things up, y'all. No, there we go. Whoa. If you were to really write out pi, it would be 3.14159, and the digits would go on and on and on, literally forever. So because of that, mathematicians will just call that number pi, because they don't want to carry around a number with an infinite number of decimals, or they'll often approximate. And that's what this is here. We're saying pi is approximately equal to 3.14. Good enough for our purposes. And so that is what we're going to do here. We are going to just call our pi 3.14. So here we go. Let's plug into our problem. We're looking for the circumference. Circumference is the thing that we're looking for. And so the circumference is the mystery. And so C is going to remain C. Okay. When you plug into a formula, you never change numbers. So 2 is still 2. I'm going to use that decimal approximation for pi, 3.14. Now notice I enclose pi 3.14 in parentheses. Why? Because when two things are shoved together like this 2 and this pi were, they are multiplying. So this is 2 times 3.14. And I'm going to times that by the radius. And my radius is 22 feet. And y'all, this is the second time I'm doing this video. You know why it's the second time I'm doing this video? Because the last time I had it right all the way up to here, and then I typed it wrong into my calculator. So let that be a warning to you. Even the math teacher can screw this up. So let me be really careful this time. And when you're doing your actual GED, check your work. Here we go. 2 times 3.14 times 22, not 21 like I put in last time. When I get this answer, C equals 138.16. Now, be really, really careful. It would be awful to do all this work correctly, hopefully correctly, and then at the very end, not get your points on the GED because you didn't follow directions. Take a look at these directions at the end. Did you notice this little phrase? To the nearest foot. These are some rounding directions. I need to round whatever answer I get. I need to round, in this case, to the nearest foot, which is just a unit. A foot is just a regular old unit, so I'm going to cut it at the decimal places. Okay, so right here where I see this decimal place, this is where my number is going to get chopped off. I'm going to consider the next number, the one that's about to die, the 1, and ask myself, am I halfway through the digits yet? Am I 5 or higher? And no, I'm not. So this number is not big enough to matter. It's just going to fall away without making a difference. And I'm going to say that the circumference of this circle is about 138. 138 what? Well, I was traveling on this bar that was 22 feet long, so this is going to be 138 feet. If I started in feet, I'm still in feet unless I do some work to convert it. Okay, so the approximate distance a rider is going to travel in this case would be 138 feet. Great. So if you have any questions, let me know. Make sure you drop them in the comments.